What is up, everybody? If you're new here, my name is Skylar, and today we're going to be diving into the basics of using a camera. Whether you're into photography, videography, this video is for you. So we're talking ISO, we're talking aperture, we're talking shutter speed, we're talking frame rate, and if you don't know what any of that means, stick around because I'm going to explain to you what those are and how to use them. So make sure you're watching all the way to the end if you want to take better pictures and video. So just for your knowledge, I'm recording this video on my Canon EOS R. I've got a wide-angle lens at 16mm, and I have a Rode microphone in my hand, and what I'm using for demonstration purposes. This is the Canon EOS Rebel T7. This is considered a budget-friendly camera, and it might be something that you guys have yourselves. So for the purposes of this video, I'm going to be holding this Rebel camera, but everything I am talking about applies to other cameras as well. So let's start with ISO. ISO controls how sensitive your camera's light sensor is to light. A lower ISO, like 100 or 200, means less sensitivity, which is great for bright conditions. A higher ISO, like 1600 or 3200, makes the sensor more sensitive, which helps in low light situations. But there's a trade-off. Higher ISO introduces grain and noise into your image. So in other words, whenever you're setting your ISO, you can go to a lower number when you're in brighter settings. So whether that's outside, a well-lit room, whatever it may be, you can go to a lower number. Whenever you're in a darker room or it's nighttime, you want to go to a higher number. The trade-off is whenever you go to a higher number, it makes your image more grainy and it makes it have a bunch of little speckles in it because you are digitally making the image brighter. So ideally, you want to keep your ISO number as low as possible at all times. That is not completely realistic when you're in dark settings, so you might want to bump the ISO. Just remember that the higher the number is, the more grain you're going to have in your image. So now with this knowledge, we know that the goal should be to keep the ISO number as low as possible while maintaining a well-exposed image. Next, let's go over shutter speed. Shutter speed controls how long your camera's sensor is exposed to the light. So a faster shutter speed, like 1/1000th of a second, freezes motion. This is perfect for sports or action shots or maybe even a bird. A slower shutter speed, like 1/30th of a second, lets more light in but introduces more motion blur. So whenever you're going to record video, shutter speed follows one general rule. This is the 180-degree shutter rule. So this means that your shutter speed should be set to double your frame rate. We're going to talk about frame rate in a second, but for example, if you're shooting in 24 frames per second and you want that film look, your shutter speed should be double 24 frames per second. So next, let's go over aperture. Aperture, or f-stop, controls how much light enters through the lens and also affects depth of field, or how much your image is in focus. A lower f-stop lets more light in and creates a blurry background. This could be great if you're shooting portraits of people or things that you want to separate from the background of your image. A higher f-stop, like f11 or f16, keeps more of the image in focus. This is great if you're shooting things like landscapes. So if you want that cinematic blurry background, go for a lower f-stop. If you want your entire image to be in focus, go for a higher f-stop. So next, let's go over frame rate. Here are 3 examples to go over what different frame rates might look like. So frame rate determines how many frames per second, or FPS, your video captures. 24 frames per second is the cinematic standard. This is used in most movies because it has a natural motion blur. 30 frames per second is a bit smoother and is often used for TV and online content. 60 frames per second or above is great for slow motion footage because you can slow it down in post-production while keeping it smooth. So in other words, if you're wanting that cinematic look, go for 24 frames per second. If you're filming action or vlogs, 30 frames per second might be a better option. And if you want to slow something down with slow motion, make sure you're shooting in 60 frames per second or higher. So there you go, that is the very basics of camera settings. ISO, shutter speed, aperture, frame rate, all of these things work together like different ingredients of a soup to give you the look that you are after. If you found this video helpful at all, hit the like button, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and please share this with somebody who might find this helpful. If you have any questions at all, or you want me to talk about something else or go into more detail, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one.